In the unpredictable world of Salem, secrets have a way of surfacing when least expected, and the latest twist in the DiMera saga is no exception. A shocking discovery is set to send ripples through the already tense power struggles among the town's most notorious families. DiMera is about to stumble upon a truth that will leave him rattled. When he finds himself at the mysterious Blake estate, nothing could have prepared him for what he would see next. There, in the dimly lit confines of the eerie mansion, he comes face to face with a disturbing sight. Ava Vitali, bound and held captive. The woman he once considered a formidable opponent is now completely at the mercy of a sinister force. But she is not alone. Alongside Ava is another enigmatic figure, one that adds an even greater sense of mystery to the situation. Rachel Blake, the elusive and almost mythical woman in white, stands as an eerie presence in the room. The mere sight of her is enough to send chills down EJ's spine, for she is not just another pawn in this twisted game. She is someone with deep, dangerous connections to his own family's past. As EJ struggles to process the scene before him, the tension is quickly heightened by the arrival of Kristen DiMera. Sensing the shock on her brother's face, Kristen doesn't miss a beat before throwing a pointed remark his way. "You look like you've seen a ghost," she quips, her tone dripping with amusement and intrigue. But what Kristen doesn't realize is just how close to the truth her words truly are. For EJ, this moment is nothing short of surreal, and it forces him to confront something he never thought he would have to acknowledge. He has just met Kristen's mother. The realization that Rachel Blake is far more than just a mysterious figure lurking in the shadows shakes him to his core. More importantly, it makes him wonder just how much Kristen herself knows about the secrets buried within the Blake family home. The weight of this revelation leaves the siblings in a precarious position. With such explosive information hanging in the balance, an unspoken agreement begins to form between them. EJ, ever the strategist, understands that his own discoveries could be just as damaging to him as they are to Kristen. The knowledge of Ava's captivity and Kristen's hidden maternal connection is something that could cause shockwaves throughout Salem if exposed. But Kristen is no stranger to wielding power over others, and she sees an opportunity of her own. If EJ has been spying on the Blake estate, it means he, too, has something to hide. And Kristen, always one to take advantage of a situation, is quick to turn the tables. She reminds EJ that he isn't the only one who holds dangerous knowledge. After all, she is well aware of another secret that could put her brother in an equally vulnerable position. Ray Fernandez is being held captive. It's a classic DiMera standoff, where leverage is everything, and both siblings know they must tread carefully. With so much at stake, EJ is left with a difficult choice. He could expose the truth about Ava and Rachel Blake, blowing the entire situation wide open. But if he does, Kristen could retaliate by revealing that Rafe is being held hostage, a revelation that could spell disaster for everyone involved. As the siblings stare each other down, the tension crackles between them like a live wire. Each of them holds a trump card, but neither can afford to play it just yet. Instead, they reach a silent understanding, one of mutual secrecy. EJ will keep his mouth shut about what he has uncovered, but in return, Kristen must do the same. This fragile truce does little to ease the underlying animosity between them, but for now, it is enough to keep the peace. However, in Salem, secrets never stay buried for long. With Ava's fate hanging in the balance and the shadow of Rachel Blake looming large, it's only a matter of time before the whole truth comes spilling out. And when it does, the consequences will be nothing short of explosive. In a town where deception is currency and loyalty is always in question, the DiMera siblings have once again found themselves entangled in a dangerous game of power. But the question remains, how long can they keep the truth hidden, and who will be the first to break? While on Friday episode, the walls were closing in, both literally and figuratively, as Ava sat helplessly bound to a chair in a dark, unfamiliar place. Her wrists were raw from the ropes, her voice hoarse from screaming for help. Every nerve in her body was on edge, but she refused to give up. Suddenly, a door crashed open, and there he was, Brady. Relief flooded her as he rushed to her side, untying the ropes with urgency. His touch was warm, reassuring. She felt herself sinking into his embrace as he whispered, "I've got you, Ava. You're safe now." Overcome with emotion, she reached for him, their lips meeting in a kiss that was full of desperation, longing, and relief. But just as quickly as the moment came, it slipped away. Ava's eyes flew open. She was still in the chair, still trapped, still alone, except for the ever-present woman in white. "Damn it!" Ava muttered under her breath. It had been a dream, just a cruel trick of her mind, dangling hope in front of her like a carrot on a stick. She immediately resumed struggling against her restraints, screaming for help even though she knew no one would hear her. The woman in white strolled into the room, her eerie calmness making Ava's blood boil. "You're wasting your breath," she taunted. "No one is coming for you." Ava narrowed her eyes, refusing to let her captor see her fear. "Brady will figure out I didn't send that text," she said defiantly. "He's not stupid." The woman smirked. "That's highly doubtful," she countered smoothly. "I made sure every detail was perfect. As far as Brady knows, you had a sudden change of heart and ran off to China. He won't question it." Ava's mind raced. If Brady believed she had left, she needed to find another way out. "What if I make it the truth?" she offered. "Let me go. I'll get on a plane to Hong Kong for real and be out of your way forever." The woman in white chuckled darkly. "Nice try," she said. "But I don't trust you." She tilted her head, considering. "Besides, I rather enjoy having you here. I get bored so easily. And let's not forget him." Ava flinched as the sound of a squawking parrot echoed from another room. The parrot man. She had only caught glimpses of him, but from what she'd seen, he was just as unsettling as her captor. "I think I'd rather take my chances in China," Ava muttered under her breath. The woman in white simply smiled and, without another word, shoved the gag back into Ava's mouth. Meanwhile, at the DiMera mansion, Brady sat stiffly in the living room as Kristen entered. The tension between them was always palpable, but today, it carried an extra weight. Kristen studied him for a moment before speaking. "You look exhausted," she noted. "Let me guess, you miss Ava." Brady exhaled sharply, rubbing a hand over his face. "She broke up with me over a text message," he said, his frustration evident. "Then she just left, no explanation, no warning. 1 minute we're fine, the next she's on a plane to China." Kristen nodded sympathetically, but there was something calculating in her eyes. "It doesn't make sense, does it?" she mused. "If she cared about you, why would she leave like that?" Brady shook his head. "I don't know," he admitted. "It just doesn't feel right." Kristen hesitated, then offered a suggestion. "Why don't you text her? Maybe she'll give you an answer." Brady hesitated, but finally relented, pulling out his phone. As he typed the message, Kristen excused herself, claiming she needed to grab Rachel's backpack. But once she was alone, her true purpose became clear. A soft ding sounded from inside a bag. Kristen turned sharply toward the noise. Slowly, she reached inside and pulled out a phone. Ava's phone. Her stomach dropped. Flipping through the messages, she quickly confirmed what she already suspected. Rachel had sent them. But as she scrolled further, something even more troubling caught her eye. The Blake family album. Her breath caught in her throat. When Brady returned, she shoved the phone back into the bag and plastered on a forced smile. "I'm not feeling well," she told him. "Can you take Rachel to therapy? I need to lie down." Brady frowned but nodded, and as soon as he was out the door, Kristen was gone. She knew where she had to go. Later that day, Brady ran into Steve at the hospital, where the older man greeted him with a knowing look. "So, I hear Rachel's been busy," Steve remarked. Brady sighed. "Yeah. Turns out she thought Ava was in the way, so she sent those texts. But it doesn't matter now. Ava's in Hong Kong visiting trip." Steve's expression darkened. "That's strange," he said slowly. "Tripp never mentioned that when we talked last week." Brady stiffened. "It just happened," he said quickly. Steve wasn't convinced. "Then let's find out," he suggested. He pulled out his phone and dialed his son. "Tripp? Hey buddy. Your mom there. A pause. Oh, she's not there. Brady's stomach sank. Something was very, very wrong. Back at the Blake house, Ava flinched as the front door creaked open. Her breath caught as a familiar figure stepped into the dimly lit room. Kristen. Ava exhaled in relief. Oh, thank God, she gasped. Just as I thought. You figured it out. Kristen's face was unreadable as she took in the situation. What the hell is going on here? She demanded. Ava quickly explained how she had been taken hostage, how Rachel had unwittingly played a part, and most importantly, how she wasn't alone. There's someone else here, Ava warned. The woman in white. Kristen's eyes widened. And then, Kristen, my love? Is that you? The voice sent a shiver down her spine. Kristen turned slowly, her breath hitching as her eyes locked onto the source of the voice. Her heart pounded. Mother! Ava's fate hung in the balance. Kristen was on the verge of uncovering something she never expected. And Brady? He was about to realize just how deep the deception ran. As the truth unraveled, one thing was certain. This was far from over.